Hi guys, welcome back to another reaction video and thoughts here on our Eyes Your Eyes. I'm ready to watch episode 9 of this second season of Vinland Saga. But before starting this video, I just want to remind you, as always, to subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell, leave a like to support me, and feel free, because it's free, but feel free to follow me into these amazing adventure. Okay, in the previous episode we saw a great episode that involved Thorfinn and Einar and their emptiness. So let's see what's going to happen today. Let's see if we move on always with these two characters or we go back to Knut. I'm really curious about these. Are you ready to join me with these? Check it out. Is that a dream? Oh no, maybe he remembers about Vinland. No, that's a dream. That's all true, Thorfinn. It's not a dream, unfortunately. But where are you? Oh, he was beaten as hell. Einar, protect him, please. Oh my, he lost the consciousness. Oh no, no, something has to happen now. Oh no, 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 now Einar started punching people and whatever. I mean, Thorfinn's sacrifice was made in vain. Oh no. I think they were scared about the eye. At least he could protect Thorfinn, but now he knows violence too. I mean, Thorfinn is still dreaming about that. But I think it's the proper moment to remember everything, I guess. Thors. So many people. Oh no, Einar! Wow. At the end of the day, he couldn't stop the himself of the past. that side of his is still there somehow. So he has to handle it. What? But now he became adult. This is true, yes, of course. But he did all he did to protect himself, yeah, I agree with this. But he's not happy at all. That's the key, Thorfinn, that's the key of everything. Yeah, that's the knowledge he achieved. I mean, I'm talking about Thor's. Yes, yes, remember, like at the end of season 1 when the sword reaches the floor. No, 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 don't go deep down. No, 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 no. Oh no, now he's living everything once again. The torment, the past that he is trying to catch him again. That's so beautiful, this scene. I mean, is. But you have to struggle, Thorfinn. You can emerge again. Wake up. Don't follow what you see. You should feel scared of it. That's. No, that's not Valhalla. That's reality, what you have lived for 11 years. I mean, it could be the portrait of Valhalla, but that's not something great, as you can see. It's a hell. That's what you are used to do for 11 years. Yeah. They are laughing because that's what they think they are interested in. That's what they think it's right to do. Is that Bjorn? Bjorn! Yeah. Ah, shut up. I feel emotional. He told you to stay away from it, actually, yeah? At the end of his life, but you didn't listen completely. I don't think so. But that's a reality exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what you see in real life. Exactly. Do you really want to live this forever? Yeah. Yeah. That's where you were for 11 years, Thorfinn. Yeah. But he didn't even realize he was living something like this. For better. For better. It was better to become empty at this point. Because, yeah, it's better to feel empty than feel what you feel over there. Yeah, Thors could escape. But you did it to protect Einar. It's different. No, because the purpose was different this time. No, I don't think so. No, it's not true. Get rid of all these, Thorfinn. That's the chance. Don't let them touch you. Yes, I agree with Ascelado here. You should listen to those voices because you didn't even realize what they were feeling when you were killing them. That's part of the process to grow and to move on. At that time, you didn't pay attention, Thorfinn. You thought they were like toys that you could disassemble them in few seconds, but they were people with feelings. Exactly. No sympathy, no empathy. Of course you can't remember. You didn't even see. I'm happy that you're realizing now. Yeah, that's the final stage of the awakening. No, react now. Now that you realized it. React. Yes, yes, yes. Try. That's your real battle. Yes. And I'm sure you will be able to make it. Put them on your shoulder. Yes. You made it. Now you can't forget anymore. There's no way you will forget. You survived again. So that's something good and worth living. Eh? But this episode is incredible. Let me tell you. No, no. You really experienced this. Yes. Think about Aina now. Please tell Einar to not punch anyone anymore. It's okay, we can fix this. No, there's nothing satisfying. Something like this is not satisfying you. Bravo. Yes, your father would be so proud of you. That's your new goal. Now he can go because he knows you understood. That's a real fight when you have to keep that promise. Oh my. Einar, you should follow Thorfinn in this, eh? Yes, yes, yes. Oh, Ketil. I'm happy for that. Oh, yeah. Good job, Ketil. Oh, finally. You showed some courage. I think so, yeah. Yes. He knows what it means. And even Thorfinn one day will be someone good and someone great because of what he experienced. Good job, Thorfinn. I'm so proud of you. So far, this is my favorite episode of this second season. Sorry if you see that it's a little bit dark, but it's going to rain soon, so perfectly matching with my feelings. Wow, this episode was a complete journey inside Thorfinn's heart, inside Thorfinn's character, and I was so amazed by the way in which the mangaka could make this journey. It was so great, the contrasts of colors in the case Thank You Mappa for underlining the beauty and the beasts, to underline the difference of peace and inner war. That's unbelievably great, full of symbolism. That's what I love. I mean, Makoto Yukimura could describe exactly what I'm searching for when I'm looking at this kind of stories. So I really want to start by praising the mangaka because he created something that it's worth watching. It can open your mind. It can let you understand how we follow mere things without paying attention on what's really essential. This story is so deep. I don't even know where to start from because there are so many things to say. I have so many thoughts that I want to convey to you that I will just go with the flow because I don't want to follow a specific schedule. I don't want to follow a list of things that I have to say. I just tell you my impressions based on what I remember immediately after watching these episodes, guys. So feel free to understand me and feel free to join me in these. Write me in the comments below what you thought about this episode and all the others too, of course. Leave a comment and let's share what you think. But first of all, I was so happy to see that Thorfinn was living in a sort of limbo. He was living in this reality that was obscuring what he really was feeling. He didn't believe that his father died yet. He didn't believe that what he was dreaming actually was the reality. Inside his consciousness, it was better for him to believe that what was living was just a dream, and sooner or later he would have woken up and he would have found the Thors again there, and nothing would have changed just because it was just an illusion. But actually that illusion existed. It was not an illusion at all, it was a reality, and he really needed to wake up from all these. When you experience a shocking moment in your life, you tend to believe that that's just a fake, that it didn't happen. You don't process that pain. Most of the times people do something like this. They wanted to protect themselves from the pain that they don't want to feel because they are too scared of feeling that pain. So they prefer to imagine that nothing happened, that everything is okay, or that everything was just an illusion. So they keep moving forward without processing that pain. That's what I've always told you since the beginning of this season. Thorfinn needed to process this pain, to admit to himself what happened in order to move on. And if you don't do this, you will never be able to move on. So even if you should take this risk, it's better if you do so, because after that, not only you're conscious of what you have experienced, but at the same time, you're able to have a second chance in life. That's what Thorfinn missed, actually. And yes, when he was meeting Thors, we could see that the Thors had this dark face rather than the usual times in which we saw him when he was meeting Thorfinn, because there was still a distance, there was still a separation between the two, because Thorfinn couldn't understand what was missing. And actually, Thors repeated Thorfinn, once again, you don't have enemies, no one has enemies. That is the most iconic statement, that if all people in our world could realize and could understand that, the world would be so different. If we stop following what we are imposed as for a society, and we decided to think freely and to understand these basic thing, because it's not something difficult to understand, it's so easy. But when your mind is occupied by something else, it's really hard to detect even the simplest things. Even Thorfinn was realizing in the moment in which he was confronting Thors that something was wrong. And in fact, Thors was telling him, I'm sorry that I left you alone. You did all you did to protect yourself. Because if I, Thors, was there to help you, nothing like this would have happened. And so I feel sorry that I left you aside alone in all these. So even this dialogue between a father and son, that even if the father died, he still has the chance to go inside Thorfinn's mind, to talk to him, to wake him up. So when I was telling you that Thors as a character is so effective, so important, even if he is gone. Yes, I wanted to underline this all over again because it's thanks to this dialogue that we have here that we understand Thor's sadness to leave Thorfinn behind and the impossibility for him to be there to help him, to instruct him, to teach him the good values of life. And on the other side we find Thorfinn that is becoming desperate. He starts crying because he understands that what he thought it was a dream was reality. He found himself by himself, I mean alone in all this, and at the same time he, by being alone, had no other choices rather than defend himself, and rather than finding violence as his best friend, because no one was there to be trusted. This sadness, this loneliness that sometimes drags you into something not good. You become a slave of all these miserable feelings, and those feelings are playing a trick on you that they make you become something that actually you're not. And this is not an excuse, this is just a reality. When we are too sad, when we are too frustrated, when we are too depressed, yes, it's a side of us, but that side of us is becoming so giant that you can't even control it anymore. You lose a reason and you prefer to let all these miserable feelings take control on you and defeat you, consume you. That's what Thorfinn was risking, to be consumed by all these. And he was already reaching the limbo, you know. I call it limbo because this episode, to me, it's the clear representation of what Dante was experiencing in the Divine Comedy. You already know that that's my favorite poem ever. Every time that there are these connections with it, I feel so pleased and so glad that these artists are inspired by literature, I mean European literature somehow, because it's quite evident, you know. Here we are talking about not only religious matter, because as you can see, even Ascelado is saying, no, that's not Valhalla, but the way in which it's represented is stunning. It reminds me of what I have learned so far at school when I was going to school, and that amazes me. Let me tell you, I really like these sort of things. But anyway, when then Thorfinn realizes that what he was experiencing right now, it was just a reality, and it was not a bad dream, it was not a nightmare, that he had to confront these kind of things, to face them in order to be able to re-emerge on surface. That was brilliant. The way in which it was described, all this, is what we always should do in the case we find in a Thorfinn's position. But let me tell you honestly, this story is so realistic. No matter if we are talking about 2,000 years before or whatever, it's so recent, and we all should take the same path Thorfinn is taking right now, because if we are able to do the same things, I am sure that this would become pure knowledge. I mean, we acquire a certain knowledge that no one can let us go back at what we were before with this knowledge. That's what I hope that everyone can achieve, more knowledge, because when we are tricked by the world we see and by all the temptations, by all the materialistic things surrounding us, we lose the control of what we really want or what we really are. That means beings who are supporting knowledge. If we are able to gain knowledge, we feel better. We feel alive. We feel that there's a purpose of the reason why we are here. So when I saw these descendants of Thorfinn, because he was caught by all these spirits, by all these traumatic experiences that he has survived from, but even the past that is calling him back again, the past that is trying to catch him and drag him down. That was really symbolic. I mean, all these souls of the people he killed and all of these underground dimension, because yeah, that's not hell, actually. That's the bottom that you should reach in order to understand that what matters, it's up there. So you should climb everything up again. But in order to understand what's meaningful, you need to reach the bottom. You need to reach the state of mind in which you feel hopeless and it seems that everything is over. So what Thorfinn was doing as a schedule of things is right. That's what he really needed in order to create a sort of a change. And yeah, when he was dragged down by all these, it was necessary. The past was calling him again to remind him what happened, to show him, now that he has a little bit of his eyes opened to all the situation that was created, now it's the proper moment for the past to show Thorfinn what he did. Because actually in those 11 years he didn't even realize that. Did you see when Einar at the beginning of this season, he was tempted by the same negative energy, by this darkness that wanted to trap him in the same dimension, but Einar was able to react? Thorfinn was not lucky enough to have the same strength. So Thorfinn's path is completely different, and it's good that it's different because they are not the same. And even if they have experienced two different things, then at the end of the day, they can get unified. I mean, they can stay together by matching all these kind of things they lived, and they can create something beautiful together, because difference can mean also knowledge. I mean, if you are equal, if you are all the same, you're not able to experience different things, and you can't acquire knowledge. If I live the same life that another person lived, I can't understand anything from that person. I can't learn anything from that person. But if we are in touch with all different people, all of these people can give me something that I don't have, that means or equals knowledge. It's so good that Einar and Thorfinn are different, no matter the fact that they have lots of things in common. That's the beauty of relationships. But by the way, while Thorfinn is descending, I really liked the tones of the colors that Mappa was using here, because they were like scratches. I mean, while Thorfinn was descending, it was like as if he was scratched all the time for all the pain he inferted to others. I mean, these light but red scratches that were appearing as if it was like memories coming back into his mind, where all darkness was surrounding him until he is reaching Ashelado, Bjorn, and all the others. When he is descending and he is still hanging on the cliff and Thank God he was still hanging over there and he didn't try to reach the bottom because he has already reached it. So as you can see, the fact that he didn't reach the bottom makes you understand that there was already a little change, but it was not good enough. He needed a plus to reach the surface again. And this is pretty meaningful because it was already telling you that Thorfinn at least changed somehow. Okay, it was not good enough, but he started doing this. So that's why I was telling you in the previous episodes that everything takes time and you can't do things so fast, because if you do things fast you don't even think. That's what Thorfinn did for 11 years. He kept struggling, fighting, surviving, fighting, getting his revenge, but this didn't let him think anything. So now things were totally different, and when he saw this vision of what he was living for 11 years, he was shocked, because for the first time the only thing he could see was people who liked the fighting. For what? I mean, what was the purpose for them to fight like this? Most of the Vikings, I mean most of the warriors wanted to fight in order to reach Valhalla, in order to reach this sort of heaven in the Norse mythology that only good warriors can reach over there. If you fight and if you die fighting in the best way, you will reach Valhalla. But for Thorfinn, Valhalla was meaningless because that was not the point of what he was doing. He was fighting to have his revenge, but once he is understanding that this revenge is impossible to have because Askeladd died, not because of him but because of Knuto, he is realizing now what he was doing for 11 years, and the scenario that it's pretty hellish. I mean, it's disgusting, and it's pitch red. I mean, it's all red over there, and these souls keep fighting over there, never-ending battles, and they are happy, etc., etc. What's the meaning of all this? There's no meaning, because all those souls couldn't reach Valhalla anyway. So if we have to translate this, in other words, their lives were a complete waste. And that was a huge problem, because when you live your life, you should not waste precious moments. If you waste those moments, when you will grow old, or when you will think about what you did in the previous years, you will feel so sad because you had the opportunity to create something great, but you preferred not to do so. At the end of the day, when you realize the waste, you feel discouraged and you feel empty, as much as Thorfinn was feeling. You feel as if there's nothing else to do for you, until you see that there is still a chance, that there is still a way to climb that cliff up. But the only way to do this is to make the next step, to realize what you have wasted in order to not waste it anymore. And that was the missing piece of the puzzle. When I told you that this episode reminds me of the Divine Comedy, it's because at a certain point it was like as if Thorfinn was Dante and Askeladd was Virgil. That's how I felt, because Askeladd was taking Thorfinn to a path in which he could think and realize more and more and more by showing him what was in the Divine Comedy hell. Here in Vinland Saga, what's human beings? I mean, what's humanity, and how fragile these individuals are, how stupid they are, following something that it's so meaningless, being tricked by these feelings that they can't even manage. And Ashelado is including himself in this, but he's different from all the others. I mean, while all these other souls are keeping fighting and they are so happy with that and they can't control their feelings anymore for eternity, let's say, Ashelado is detached from all those spirits, and he is I don't know how to describe him. He is discouraged. I mean, he is having this sort of a melancholic feeling of how much wasted his life was. Because do you remember, he had a dream. I mean, even Ashelado had a dream. But at the end of the day, all that dream that he could achieve at least at the end of his life for a few seconds lasted just a few seconds. Because at the end of the day, all the rest of his life was based on the environment that he was emitted in, as I was telling you already. So these melancholic feelings that you can see from his face at the beginning when he meets Thorfinn, and when even Ashelado sees that Thorfinn is still there just because he punched that man, and he was punched quite a lot. He said, "Oh, are you still here, Thorfinn? That means all that I told you at the end of my life, was that meaningless?" But it was not. If you understand the character of Ashelado, you also understand his importance in Thorfinn's life. Yes, I wanted to say this once again. Without Askeladd, Thorfinn was not able to re-emerge on surface. So when I say that Thorfinn shouldn't forget Askeladd, because if you forget about him, it's too easy. I mean, you fake that all the things you have done or all the things he did didn't exist, and this is a mere illusion. If you really want to face what you experienced, you shouldn't even forget about what happened, right? So I really hope that even if now he has a different way of thinking, Thorfinn will never forget about Askeladd, because in the moment he will remember about him, he will automatically know what not to do. That's what's really meaningful to me, to remember him instead of erasing him. He felt sad. I mean, Askeladd felt sad to see him there again, because of all the beautiful things that he told Thorfinn at the end of his life, that was already pretty meaningful. That means find a way to become a true warrior, son of Thors. That means remember that you are son of Thors, and remember what Thors told you, maybe. As for teachings, as for what he wanted to do, as for his principle, because Thors abandoned violence, abandoned the battlefield, because he acquired the right knowledge about what's really important in life, how we should live our life, without touching, without being tempted by meaningless things, about materialistic things, about these cursed feelings that are trying to trap you, they are trying to catch you and not leave you alone, leave you free anymore. So Thors reached that knowledge, but now it was Thorfinn's time to reach that knowledge. And I understand when Thors said that he had lots of things to teach to Thorfinn. Of course, that's true, but at the end of the day, I preferred this way. I mean, Thorfinn couldn't understand those sentences when he was a boy. He had to experience adulthood or to make some negative experiences to reach the same knowledge that Thors reached. It was impossible for him to reach all that kind of thoughts when he was just 6 years old. So I understand Thor's point of view because all parents want their best, the best for their kids, right? But at the same time, we can't play the role of destiny. I mean, we as parents can't impose ourselves in front of destiny and decide what our kids have to experience in order to reach that knowledge. As much as for what happened to Thor's experienced lots of bad stuff, lots of wars, lots of traumatic moments until he got it. I mean, there was that sort of a switch in his mind that made him realize certain things. Now it's Thorfinn's turn, and it's never too late to reach that sort of a switch so that you can acquire, you can gain this knowledge. But by the way, going back to Ascelado, yeah, that was really nice, the way in which he was describing what Thorfinn was seeing. In fact, when Thorfinn said, "Oh, is that Valhalla?" Because that's the usual thing you should say when you reach some disgusting place like this. In our case, we would have said, "Oh, is that hell?" But Ascelato was pretty clear. He said, "No, no, 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 that's not Valhalla, or that's not hell in our case if you are from a different religious background. But that's what you see in real life. That's what you have experienced for 11 years old. But now you see it in a different way. Because that revenge is gone. So it's like as if after the revenge is gone, you saw things differently. But that's exactly what you have lived for 11 years. Your eyes were too blind to see those tones of colors, those disgusting things, but that's exactly what you have experienced. So this disclosure to reality, this way to go out somehow from this Plato's cave or from this veil of Maya, if we are talking about philosophy, this is essential. Sooner or later, all human beings, I hope so, but all human beings should reach that state of mind in which they don't become blind anymore, but they start seeing things for what they are. Sometimes it's utopistic to say something like this, but yeah, my hope about the world that I'm living in is still not faded away completely. That hope is still inside my heart, that sooner or later people are figuring out in what kind of world we are living. I still trust humanity. I still trust human beings, because I think that if we are made as we are is because of how great our brain is to think. And that unknown side of our brain, when it's starting thinking, can produce something extremely great, if only we want to open our eyes. Because if we don't want, then it's pointless. But if we want, we should start thinking differently in all kind of senses. I mean, I'm not talking about a specific subject, I'm talking about all things in general. So we'll see how the world, our world, will go on. But yeah, going back to the episode, when Thorfinn is realizing what he sees, he is completely shocked, and at the same time, this amount of corpses coming from the past, the corpses of the people he killed, are trying to reach him again. But this time, even if Thorfinn wants to push them away, and I thought that too. I mean, I thought that those were Vikings. I mean, those spirits were the spirits of the Vikings who were trying to dig him, I mean, to try to drag him down with all of them. Ascelado is explaining, oh, you're rude, those are not the Vikings spirits, let's say, but these are the spirits of the people you killed. And when Thorfinn is pushing them away, he's making a mistake, because actually he should confront those souls to understand who he killed, why he killed them, because there was no reason why he killed those people. He killed them because Ascelado told him to kill them, so he was perfectly instructed by someone else, but actually those were Ascelad's enemies, not his enemies. So he was working for him without even realizing that he was ending lives, without knowing their background stories, without knowing how much pain they were feeling, without knowing where they were coming from, without knowing their names, anything. Everything was pointless to him. That's the importance of people's lives. When people decided to kill other people, they don't think. In those moments, their mind is completely gone. There's no reason involved, and there's pure instinct, and instinct can't let you think. So that's why inside ourselves we should create a balance, we should create a stability between the two things, and it's pretty hard based on each context we are in, or based on a circumstance that we are feeling. And that's why human beings are having a hard time to live their lives, because they should combine these two things, and most of the times it's not happening. When Thorfinn is facing these spirits, he starts crying, because immediately after he is starting asking himself, who are you? Where are you from? I don't even know. I don't even know why I killed you, sincerely. I was just trapped into this cage that I made to myself. I mean, I was the one who was making myself as a victim at the end of the day. I was the one, the master of my own self, and I was becoming the slave of myself. I really appreciated the moment in which Thorfinn cries and he's saying sorry for all that he had done. That was useful, because without that moment he couldn't climb the cliff up later. And finally he is facing the atrocity that he made, the abominous feelings that he was feeling, and let's say the non-feelings that he was not feeling. And this contrast between what he was and what he is. Yeah, I liked even the fact that in Thorfinn's mind there was even the moment in which he's realizing that he could have killed even Einar. But in that case, it didn't happen, and it was just a matter of luck. It was just a matter of luck that Einar was not there in that moment when Thorfinn was there slaughtering everyone, because it could have happened, but it didn't. So that made Thorfinn understand, look, I could have done this to my friend too, and luckily I didn't do that. And then I discovered who Einar was, and I thought that Einar was my enemy at that time. I didn't meet him, but I thought that he would have been an enemy for sure if I met him. But then I met Einar, I knew Einar, I got in touch with him, I worked with him, I spent all nights with him, so I know who he is. And it was so good that I didn't kill him. And this refers also to all the other spirits of the souls that he killed instead. He didn't have the chance to meet these people, to talk to these people, to find something in common with these people. It was all time wasted. Because if he didn't kill them, he would have had the chance to open his mind more, instead of being focused on one thing that condemned him for 11 years. That's why when he says sorry, all these mixed feelings are inside Thorfinn, and let me tell you honestly, I can feel all of them. I definitely feel all that he is feeling right in this episode, and I appreciated this, because when a mangaka can make stories like this, when you can feel empathy for the characters you're watching, and when you can find yourself in those characters. Okay, I didn't kill anyone, but I also am not perfect. So I behaved wrongly in my life too. So sometimes I go back in time and I am trying to revise what I did and to remind myself that that thing was wrong, to not do so, and sometimes it's hard to not repeat some mistakes, right? And some other times, after so much time that went on, I'm thinking, oh, look, at that time I was so wrong. I'm happy that I realized that, so I know that next time I will not do that again. These internal confront with his own self made Thorfinn help himself for sure. He needed this contrast between what he was before and what he is now to understand, to gain that knowledge. I think Askeladd gained that knowledge too in the moment he's talking to Thorfinn, because he's not like all the other spirits. He is far away from them and he's looking from upper side, from this upper side of the cliff, and he is looking down. So even Askeladd reached a certain knowledge, but he didn't have the same opportunity as Thorfinn had. That means to climb that cliff up and to be still alive. And that's why even Askeladd is saying, you're lucky. Yeah, because you can still try. And I can't. That's the huge difference. And Thorfinn is also appreciating this new chance. He's appreciating the fact that he can be reborn. He has the chance to do so. Because if he died in the last episode of season 1, he would have never had that chance. But he has it. So he should use it. I was realizing all these things, and I think that this episode was simply great, not only because of what we saw, but even when Askeladd is pushing Thorfinn to climb the cliff up, because not only is it the thing that he couldn't do, because he didn't have this second chance, but also because he believes in Thorfinn. He trusted him since the beginning, even if Askeladd didn't want to admit it to himself. But he has always trusted Thorfinn, and he has always hoped that Thorfinn would have never done what he did in his life. I think that Askeladd took care of Thorfinn throughout all the first season by protecting him somehow, by letting him work together with him, by always seeing what he was doing, to be sure to see if Thorfinn was able to be different than what he was. Also because by going back in time and seeing Askeladd's background story, we know that he also made that mistake. He was a slave of violence throughout all his life. He was not able to get rid of it. He was always stuck over there. So when he saw Thorfinn and when he saw that he also wanted revenge as much as he wanted when he was a kid, he really hoped through the years that Thorfinn would have had a different path, that Thorfinn would have never followed what he was doing. And that's why I think Askeladd was trying all the times to say, you can go, we don't have to wait Thorfinn coming back, we can go already, we don't have to wait for him, I don't know, maybe he will die, let him go, because he didn't want Thorfinn to come back. Actually, I think that Askeladd wanted him to go away from them so he could have understood what was really important. But to see him coming back all the time when he requested him to do certain missions and whatever, and to see how many atrocities he was making in order to accomplish Askeladd so he could have given him a duel all the times, discouraged Aşilado, because I imagine that when he saw him coming back, he was like, oh no, he is back again. He didn't understand. But in fact, he's saying it even at the end of season 1. He's telling him, oh, come on. You don't understand. You're still stubborn to not focus on what's really important. And even in this episode, when he was crying, Aşilado is always saying, oh, you keep crying. Like, oh, I remember that you have always cried, you have always raised the tone of your voice, you didn't listen, you didn't think, etc., etc. You didn't change so much, but even Thorfinn is saying it this time. I didn't change so much, I didn't grow. I think from the beginning he hoped that he was not getting in touch with Vikings and he was not following them. But then when he was seeing him coming back, he was forced to keep an eye on him, because even if Aşilado has always said, oh, I'm using him, oh, I'm doing this, no, at the end of the day, I think that Thorfinn was what he wanted to be, and in fact now Thorfinn has this chance. Now Thorfinn can go up and can restart everything from zero by learning this teaching that was essential for him to know before starting changing. And yeah, I understand when Askeladd is always saying, oh, are you still crying? Please go up and be the true warrior that you're supposed to be. I mean, I like how Askeladd is pushing Thorfinn. Come on, go, come on. Because more than saying this, he can't do anything else, especially now that he is dead. But his influence to push Thorfinn to climb that cliff up is so amazing, because it's like as if he's saying, I didn't do it, you can do it, come on. He's encouraging Thorfinn to stop crying and to stop feeling so miserable and react. That's something that he couldn't do so far in order to gain that knowledge. And the moment in which he's climbing up, it makes you understand that Thorfinn got it this time. Even the scream that he's making, that it's like as if he is breaking a sort of a cage made of glass where he couldn't escape, but now he can. And I really liked that the moment in which he is climbing this cliff up, nothing is red anymore. There is just this white light that is helping Thorfinn to emerge to surface, and that's brilliant. That's really awesome when he's waking up and he is seeing Einar over there. He doesn't know if he is still alive or not, and immediately he is worrying about his condition, so that makes you already understand that he changed, but he needed these little big piece of the puzzle in order to start all over again. That was really great. This episode is so powerful. I think if all people can watch this episode, they can all feel what I am saying. Even the last dialogue between Einar and Thorfinn is so powerful. Let's say Thorfinn is the missed Eren, because even Eren was saying, I'm sorry in front of that little boy, I'm sorry, I was disappointed, I'm sorry. But Eren didn't have the courage to try to make it, to try to push himself to change. He was not brave enough, Thorfinn, on the contrary, he was brave enough to say sorry, but then do something that can prove that he is sorry. Eren didn't have this chance. I mean, he was saying sorry, but anyway, this feeling was more intense than saying sorry. While Thorfinn, he says sorry, but I'm pretty sure that what he's marking with his own words that he is doing, he will do it 100%. And yeah, in this final dialogue with Einar, when they are trying to support each other, and Einar is seeing that he is crying, he feels Thorfinn's pain, but as you can see from the previous episodes too, Einar doesn't want to intrude himself too much to disturb Thorfinn's feelings. He prefers that Thorfinn talks so he can understand him. So even this delicacy, yes, this tenderness that Einar has towards Thorfinn, that's so admirable. He is the perfect friend that Thorfinn needs in this moment, but even in his life. So I'm really happy for that. But when finally Thorfinn is confessing his feelings to Einar so that he can also understand that he matured now and that he became a man. Definitely. Now Thorfinn has the face of a man. He is no more a boy like at the beginning of the episode, when you see that even if Thorfinn has long hair, but his face is like the face of the boy in the first season. Now you see the change. You see that he turned into a man finally, and it took time, but that time was precious. And I liked when he is telling Einar that he was against the people like him, and he killed so many people, but the fact that he didn't even know those people made him now realize that violence is not his path, that he wants to abandon that path once for all, especially after Einar tells him that they won the fight. For Thorfinn, that's the saddest thing to hear, actually, because he cries immediately after Einar says these kind of things. So he doesn't want to belong to that world anymore, where you can win or lose, where you can die or you can survive. He just wants a peaceful life where he can enjoy, where he can create something propositive instead of a cycle of pain that it's never ending. Because this cycle of pain, if it's never ending, it's torturing you for the rest of your life, and that's not what Thorfinn wants. So he expressed what he really feels to Einar, and Einar perfectly understood. And in fact, I was worried because at the beginning of the episode, we see that Einar punched all of these men, and he started this cycle of violence too regarding himself. And I was worried because I was thinking, oh no, let's hope that Einar now doesn't become like Thorfinn at that time when he started killing people and he couldn't feel anything anymore. But Einar, in this case, will join Thorfinn. So he is able to get rid of this violence from the beginning, and there is not even the risk that he is enjoying or that he wants to continue this bad path. He wants to take the right one, and this time he is with a good friend who experienced lots of atrocities before and can inspire him to not belong to that path. But I really liked even the moment in which while Thorfinn was saying his new purpose in life, and there is a certain smile, a little smile on his face, because he also realized, okay, now I found a new goal in my life. And when I thought that everything was over and I was so empty inside, I was wrong, because this new goal is even more important than the other one. And it's like a new start, a new beginning. Yeah, I like that moment, because exactly in the moment he feels like this, you see the image of Thor's going ahead behind the hill. That makes you understand that even Thor's now can rest in peace, because he did his job, even if he did it indirectly, but he did it, and now he knows for sure that his son is taking the right path, so he's ready to go. And that was so emotional. Look, even Thorfinn is seeing him going, and Einar doesn't understand, but later he says, okay, I think that I understood. This beautiful relationship based on trust, and at the same time, the way in which Thorfinn now is not alone anymore, because when he punched that man, it was not as before. I mean, before meeting Einar, he was punching others for his own revenge. But in that case, he punched the others to protect Einar. So anyway, somehow, it's different, even if, of course, you can be tempted once again, and that's not the case with the beautiful and the final statement of Thorfinn when he's saying, I will not use violence anymore. Anymore. From now on, everything will be different. And wow, and when they go back to work and they understand that even if it was created a mess over there in that crops field, who cares? There's another chance to restart all over again. We will plant those crops again. We will cultivate wheat again. There will be another chance, even if that was a complete mess. And I also want to say that I appreciated Ketil this time. He found the courage, even thanks to Pator, for sure, but he found the courage to say, no, they will not be punished. And they will go ahead doing what they were doing, because the retainers, they were the real culprits. They shouldn't be punished just because they wanted to defend what they cultivated for months. I liked that Ketil finally imposed himself and he said, no, they will not be punished. And that was just because of Peter's help. Had lots of negative experiences, so he could suggest Ketil in the best way, as much as Thorfinn can suggest Einar in the future based on his experiences. Pator was helping Ketil this time to find this courage to not punish Thorfinn and Einar. And at the same time, this was making you understand that there's no need of violence, sincerely, because even if the Einar wanted to punch them and wanted to even kill them at this point for what they did, there's no need to do so, because karma will punish people who are doing evil things anyway. Look at Askeladd. Okay, he killed Thors, but at the end of the day, the only thing that he could do was to reach these seconds of enlightenment in front of others by saying that he is Lucius Artorius Castus, that he is descending from King Arthur and whatever, but was it worth it? Just few seconds. I mean, you spent decades of your life trying to catch these few seconds of moments that don't last. So what I'm saying is that even if Thorfinn was trying to reach his revenge, it was no needed, but because at the end of the day, Askeladd was killed by Knuto. So he had his sort of punishment later. Everything comes back. No matter what you do in your life, it can be good things, it can be bad things, then they come back at you to praise you or to punish you. So Einar didn't need to punch them, because anyway, the punishment arrived later for them, for their retainers. So as you can see, violence is pointless. Violence is just condemning you who commit violence, instead of feeling any sort of a satisfaction. Even Einar, yeah, at the end of the episode was saying, oh, that's so satisfying that we won. No, it's not satisfying because you're all broken now. And anyway, you lost your field of crops, so there's no satisfaction. The real satisfaction is when you see that after a period of time, those who deserve the punishment from destiny, they reach it without you doing anything and without you feeling pain for what you did, but on the contrary, feeling satisfied for what you have achieved. This episode is memorable because it's teaching you lots of things and it's quite inspiring. It's incredible. In 23 minutes, this episode is telling you exactly how you should behave in life. To be always able to open your mind, to look beyond what you see, to be sure to not stuck into something, to not be controlled by your desires too much, by your wishes, to not feel tempted too much by what you see, to try to find a way to restart, no matter how painful it is, to understand that you shouldn't avenge anyone because anyone has his or her own destiny based on what they wanted to do. So you shouldn't get involved with the problems of others, but you should pay attention on what you wanted to do and don't even change just because something evil happens in your life. Because if you change and you become something terrible, it makes you understand that those evil things prevailed on you, and you have not to do so. You have to contrast these, no matter how hard it is and no matter how fragile we are. We should look forward. We should push ourselves to do always something that gratifies us instead of demolishing us. And at the end of the day, don't find any revenge because you can lose your mind, you can waste time, and we are not here to waste our time. We are here to find something that makes us feel alive, makes us feel useful, grateful, to open our mind and gain the knowledge we need to live as much as possible. If someone does something bad at us, it will go back to the sender. So we don't have to do anything. We just have to wait patiently and see what happens. That's the best advice for sure. And yeah, this episode, guys, I suggest you to watch Vinland Saga for sure. And I suggest you to dig inside yourself and be inspired by what Thorfinn did in this episode, not what he did in the first season when we all said, oh, kakkoi Thorfinn, oh, look how he used the swords. Yeah, at the beginning, when Thor is saying, how many people did you kill with those swords? Because that's the first thing he told him. Don't kill anyone with these swords. Defend yourself only when there's a huge emergency and there's nothing else to do. But do it to defend you, not to attack others. And actually Thorfinn was doing the opposite. He was always attacking others, who cares, etc., etc. Can't wait that he will reach Vinland. I can't wait that he will do what his father couldn't, and what also Askeladd couldn't do. And yeah, I still believe that behind the Thorfinn's back there are Thors, but there's even Askeladd. And those two men were so important to his life, so inspiring. One in the good way, one in the bad way, but we need both, okay? And when Askeladd is saying, take with you all these souls that you have killed, I mean, take them with you. Go ahead with your life by not forgetting about them, because you reached there even thanks to them. And this is something that you find in so many other anime. I mean, this concept that you are what you are based on who you have met or what happened to you. Yes, the past is us. I mean, we are the past that we lived. We are summarizing exactly what we have lived so far, but we live in the present time. We can't be stuck in the past. So now that we have the chance to live this moment, we have to treasure what happened, but we have to live this moment. Thorfinn was too stuck in the moment in which he lost his dad, and he couldn't go on living. There was a moment in which he stopped, exactly like Eren when his mother was killed. I like to see the good Eren in here. I mean, I like to see this way this time, and not the usual way that I saw in Shingeki no Kyojin. Okay guys, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for these long video. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for watching me. And see you next time with episode 10 of season 2 of this incredible story called Vinland Saga. Thank you so much and bye. See you next time.